All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday, YouTube. Happy Friday rolling out. You guys come on in. Happy Friday. This, of course, is rolling out. It's the Ready to Love recap. I'm your host, Christal Jordan. We do this every Friday, especially when Ready to Love gets as good as it has gotten now. So you guys come on in. I am excited about tonight's conversation. Ready to Love heated all the way up. This Friday, this episode, there is a lot to unpack. We thought last week was a lot with the girls having their exes there. This week, things took a different turn. Things got a little heated, a little weird, a little uncomfortable. And so I can't wait to have this conversation. I want you guys to please interact with us. Come on in, share your comments. This is going to be an interactive conversation. And we got a guy in the house tonight. You guys know we always have a relationship expert sitting with us every week. Last week we had Just Toy. And this week we have Coach Court. He is one of my favorite relationship experts because he actually gives really sound, good advice. And it's a guy. So, it's always good to have a guy's opinion about these things. So let's welcome Coach Court. Welcome to.
Hello. I'm
Hey.
glad to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you for stopping in. So, like I said, tonight's episode was definitely different. It's been
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
like,
lit.
man.
There was some backstabbing going on. There was some,
Some backstabbing and
there was some drama.
even the beginning, the intro, I had pulled two clips, and I don't know if I was able to get them uploaded in time. I pulled two clips, but before we get into that, let's talk about what you do, because Ready to Love, I think the reason this show is so popular is because it does, kind of reflect and mirror, the reality of dating, especially the
Yes.
reality of dating after, you kind of grow up and go through some stuff. So
hmm
how do
You
you
know,
start? I'm going to put us here so people can see the screen good, but tell us how you got started helping people fix their relationships.
it's funny. Whenever somebody asks me that question, I say, think about all the relationship coaches you've ever met. It's
Hmm.
probably some type of heartache, some type of breakup, some type of divorce. And they just say, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this. I am going to learn whatever I need to learn so I don't show up the same way that I showed up in that last relationship. So
Right.
that was where my journey began.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to hear because we don't always hear men be that, I guess, transparent with their own, heartbreak. A lot of times we don't even see men share the fact that they actually experience, heartbreak. But
Yeah.
I think I want to get these clips uploaded just because they're so. These are just classic cases, in my opinion, of what happens when men are their ego is bruised or their pride is
That
affected.
right there. That part. Yeah, for real. And the reason I learned how to be vulnerable and why I put myself out there and I talk about my story is because I used to mentor kids, at-risk teen boys, for 13, 14 years.
Oh wow.
And I would teach them, that, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to put yourself out there. You're not weak. If anything, your vulnerability is your strength, being
Mhm.
because it makes you relatable and it makes people want to connect with you. So that's part of the reason why I put my story out there. I'm very transparent about what I've been through, and it helps other people feel comfortable.
Right.
So, and yeah, right away when you said that ego part, I was taking my notes. I was like, mm-hmm.
There we go. There we go. So tell us the difference between a person's ego being bruised or them really being hurt, because sometimes a person is not necessarily heartbroken, their pride is just hurt, and that's not necessarily the same as them being heartbroken. In this situation, obviously, I know I'm trying to pull these clips up um, with David and Ron, and I don't think either of them were in a situation where they were heartbroken and in love with
Yeah,
women, but I do think one of the guys was very. I think David was very. I mean, he's been through it. You could tell he's really hurt. He's gone through hurt before. And
hmm
he was just, it was all that hurt up in there. Ron, I feel like Ron's ego was just bruised.
yeah. That's
And it,
that's a perfect example. So, and that's another thing I used to teach my boys when I used to work with them. I would let them know, anger is a secondary emotion. So there's
Right.
always something that comes before anger. There's either going to be disappointment, it's going to be embarrassment, it's going to be something, sadness that's going to come before anger. And that's exactly what happened. They were, you know, embarrassed or whatever it was, whatever they were feeling, it showed up as anger. And that's something that we don't learn as young men, that it's okay to show different emotions or even say different emotions. If you get angry, say, you know what, I'm just disappointed or I'm just frustrated. We don't do a good enough job at teaching them at that age. So
especially when it comes to relationships with women, because I think that when it comes to relationships with women, a lot of times that guard is up even more, right? And so they don't want they don't want to acknowledge that. I thought that in both situations, the guys definitely just did not want. I think we all know that conversation at the end, "You're not ready to love," that probably doesn't feel good to hear on either side, right? I wouldn't want to. It seems, it seemed like both of them, and they know what the show is. They've actually been. Ron actually, told someone else they weren't ready to love, so they know that that's coming. But for them to both be unwilling to just accept that feedback that they might not have been doing something right, it was really it was very unattractive for both of them. I got the clip, so I'm going to play the clip with David first.
Okay.
And I want to get your opinion on that, and then we're going to play the clip with Ron.
I wanted you here so I could share some things with you. Liz, I wanted to express some things.
I do too.
I eliminated myself, and I wanted you to know that first.
Why you didn't tell me?
Hold on.
You never talked to me about self-eliminating. And the way I really feel is that he was trying not to take responsibility for his actions. It was almost like, I'm gonna quit before you fire me.
So if you want, we can try it again.
I would love for it, David, for you to let me finish.
We're not getting nowhere.
You interrupted me when I was trying to talk.
I want to lead up to the reasons.
No, David.
So, Liz, will you allow me to do that?
Well, will you allow me to speak?
Right.
You are a gentleman, right?
Come on.
You're a gentleman,
Liz,
and I know you're a gentleman, and you will allow a lady to speak first, right?
Discuss it, and Liz, man, I wish you the best.
Okay.
I do.
No, David.
Hey, no problem.
Right.
I wish you the best.
David, the fact that you cannot,
Liz,
this shows that you're not ready to love.
I'm definitely ready to love. I'm ready to love.
You're not allowing me to speak. That's
if you
rude
want to
of
know
you,
why
David.
I left the show, I'm a man of God.
No, I know.
And I want to lead with integrity.
Right.
And I want to share with you why I left. So that you can know. I hate that you didn't allow me to speak.
And you didn't allow me to speak.
Why I'm leaving.
Because I was about to speak, and you didn't let me know.
Be blessed. Y'all be blessed.
You didn't let me speak.
Liz, thank you.
Take care, David.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Okay.
David. How you gonna try to sneak that last "I'm a man of God"? What? God ain't got nothing.
Yeah, you know what that was? That was him talking himself off the ledge. That was him saying, I'm getting angry. I'm a man. He's talking to himself. I'm a man of God.
Okay.
To stop myself from completely exploding on you. And I'm going to leave with integrity.
Right. See, I would not have even thought that. I just was like, where did that come from? I'm a man of God. I'm like, what does that have to do with?
He can correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems as if he was trying to prevent himself from escalating even further.
Yeah.
Because whenever somebody is talking over someone, that means they have some issues with like either they're impatient or their anxiety, or in this case, he wanted to be right. And this is what it seemed like to me.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, Liz was determined to get out that you are not ready to love.
Yeah, right. She's like, I'm just trying to let you know you're not ready to love.
Right.
I'll send you a text message or email or something. Hey, you're not ready to love, because I can't even see it.
You're gonna get this information from me. I don't care the fact that you don't want to do it. But yeah, it looked like he had a lot of anxiety. It looked like he didn't want to be embarrassed, because even after that clip happened, when the cameras usually follow the person afterwards, he refused to speak on camera. He was almost combative with them. No comment. He was really, really uncomfortable.
Well, there it is. I'm spot on. He was escalating. He was trying to prevent himself from taking it all away. Yeah. To the, where I'm going to do something my mama's not going to appreciate.
Not going to be that man of God. That example.
Going to make me lose my religion. So I'm going to bow out.
All right. Well, let's watch the second clip, because this one now, David, the sad thing is, I actually was rooting for David and Liz early on. I like that couple together. I was shocked that, I mean, it was obvious that David had issues. Like, he has been through some hurt before, and I feel like he came into this situation with all that hurt, but he also was not being 100% vulnerable. You know, he wouldn't let himself really get into the process. And so I thought he and Liz were a good fit, but he wasn't really 100% in that. So I'm glad that she moved on. But this next step, this one was extremely disrespectful. So let's watch Ron and Alexis, and then we'll get into that.
I lost a little respect. I ain't gonna lie. I just thought you was smarter and a little better than that.
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
That might have been condescending, but
it's condescending all the time. But I'm not gonna be with anybody who talks to me like he just spoke to me. I really got to see Ron's true colors. If he had only knew that I was agonizing over the decision because I was trying to care for his heart.
So, understanding that, I went on a date yesterday. I kissed Amber yesterday. At that point, I was done anyway.
Now I'm feeling like I just got played. And then I'm wondering, is this really true?
I talk to her every day.
I'm glad this happened because all of this is just confirmation for me even more so right now in this moment.
Well, I'm glad you got it, 'cause I had it.
Well, good. So you should be relieved and you are free. You know, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a hug, honey. Have a safe trip driving home.
Thank you, baby.
It's like a whole weight lifted off of me. And now I can move on to pursue the other connection that I was also interested in.
More ego tripping.
His didn't feel like it was anxious. It didn't feel like anything but him just being an ass, honestly. Well,
that's all ego. It's the same. So it was both of them having big egos, but it showed in a different way. One, you're not going to talk over me. You're not going to let me get the last word. And this other one is like, I was already, I'm sleeping with your friend anyway. That's that type of ego. Right. That's more like, guess what? I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me.
Yeah, both of them did.
Both of them was.
Yeah. Wow. That's, you know what? I think, like I said, this show allows people to see all that doesn't come out in the beginning when you date somebody. First, you guys, you're attracted, you're having a good time. This kind of thing comes out when you're put in uncomfortable situations, right?
Well, this is what I tell people that I coach. I say the first 90 days, put them on a probation period, because there's been scientific studies that show that you cannot keep up this front for longer than 90 days. It's either going to seep through. People are going to see little glimpses of who you really are. And when they see those red flags or those behaviors that they won't tolerate, 6 months, a year down the line, they can make the decision right away and say, yeah, this just isn't going to work out. So you actually, so I guess that's kind of where Steve Harvey had that 90-day, 90-day period. So, gave him a lot of hell for that. But I know as a female, and I can only speak for Christal, I don't want to lay down and be intimate with someone that I really don't know who they are yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have that right. There's a saying that goes, men have to be intimate with you before they can feel close to you, and women have to feel close to you before they can get intimate with you.
Wow, that's interesting. And we got to try to kind of meet and find a happy medium to meet in the middle.
You do, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you guys, please in the comments, let us know. Hey, Elle, hey, Muadi, Neff, Leah Knows Beauty, Daryl Glover. Thank you guys for joining and tuning in with us to talk through this episode. Now that all happened within the first 5 minutes of the show. So It started off with a bang, and then the couples went to a ranch, which I was excited about that. You guys know I love horses. That's
pretty cool.
So I thought it was cool. They went horseback riding there on this ranch. They're out away from, the rest of the world, where they can actually kind of really focus on each other and see what's going to happen. Interestingly, Tommy, we eliminated 2 guys. So now we have 5 girls and 4 guys, and there's some crisscrossing happening there. What did you think of well, let's start first with Vernicia and Joelle. Now, Joelle and Vernicia were one of those couples, one of the few couples this season that connected immediately. They were each other's top favorite, and she was always consistent that he was her top. He was consistent that she was his top until 2 weeks ago. They had an argument, and then he decided he was going to say Kyra, was his top. And KJ told Amber, who came back and shared it with Vernicia. I don't know if that was production or that's just how it went, but she came back and shared, to make sure that Vernicia knew what was going on. And that caused them to be out of sorts on the trip. I want to ask Coach Court, what did you think about their interaction and how they eventually came through that, little bit of conflict? And then I want you guys, chime in and let us know what you guys think as well. Coach Court?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely healthy for them to do. Talk it through. It kind of seemed like Joel didn't want to admit to what he did.
Yeah.
He kind of was just like dismissive and like, yeah, that wasn't even supposed to be leaked. Like, who even said that? He didn't want to take accountability for what he did. Well, what he needs to understand about women, it's all about they want to be heard, they want to be understood.
Yeah.
So if you're here and you're like kind of pushing how she feels, because it's not about what actually happens, it's about how she feels about what happens. And his best bet would have been to take his medicine and say, that was wrong of me. Like, I'm sorry I leaked to you. I know that might have hurt your feelings. That's not what I intended for it to do. But in that moment, if they were saying, like, if I would have to pick somebody right now, I chose Kyra. But and I understand that hearing that might have hurt your feelings.
Yeah, well, it definitely, I think I agree with her, though, because it's like, to me, it's more than just him getting upset. It's kind of him showing that he doesn't have any staying power. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. If
you get mad at me over one thing, and are you going to go out to a club and holler at another girl just because we had an argument on the phone? Like,
yeah.
I definitely felt why she was not feeling that. Said Ron told Amber, not KJ. Okay, you guys are talking about. I'm looking in the comments. You guys are talking about.
Yeah, I was looking at it too.
They're talking about some different.
Joe was very dismissive. Absolutely.
He was. He tried to blow her off at first, but
yeah, and you just need to take your medicine. One thing I learned is if they're going to come talk to you, if a woman's going to come talk to you, that's a healthy thing. That means they still committed to you. That means that they still see some type of future with you. But if she would have just been like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
That's when she's checking out. She's like, well, time for me to make another option. But she was loyal to him up until that point.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Very true. Very true, girl. We are like that. Once a woman stops talking, she's not interested. I agree, Elle. I thought Joel did act very childish, and I was surprised because, like I said, I really liked the two of them together because he seemed so smooth, but it seemed like all that smoothness kind of left the party. He really, I didn't like how he handled it at all. Even when they made up, I just was like, not really feeling that.
Yeah, you learn who people really are during conflict. You learn what they're made of.
Very true. Very true. Speaking of conflict, on another note, just because I know we got to get into all the rest of the couples that have big stuff going on. But so Alexis, who was really kind of feeling Ron, also was feeling AJ. There was a conversation between her and AJ was looking for validation. And he tells her, can you just relax? Can you just stop pressing so much? It's uncomfortable. And it's kind of like a turnoff. What was your thought process on that, Coach Court? Because she's pressing him and she wants to really know that, how he feels about her. And he said, you're always making a big deal out of everything, every little thing. It doesn't allow me to actually feel appreciated for the effort that I am putting in. What did you guys think about that interaction with AJ and Alexis?
I'm trying to remember it.
They were sitting on the couch, and she just really kept pressing him about, why had their conversation not been consistent? When is the last time we talked? And he was just like, why do we always have to do this?
And it was a sign of insecurity. And that's what, I don't care who it comes from. If it comes from the man or if it comes from the woman, insecurity is unattractive. And if somebody is picking up on that vibe, like you're getting insecure, they're gonna get frustrated, and because they're gonna feel like what they've done up until this point hasn't been good enough for you to make you feel secure. And we struggle with that. in other relationships. We struggle with the history that we've had. We take that baggage into the next relationship or into our next potential candidate or whoever we're courting, and it makes it feel not as fulfilling because we have one foot in the past, one foot in the future. It's one thing I learned about people who struggle with insecurities. It's always them reliving some type of experience or some type of emotions from something they went through already.
That's good.
And I think that's what he was picking up on it. Like, this is just, now after a while, it's going to become a turnoff.
He said that actually in relation, I believe, to Kyra, is that, I think everybody's insecurities. And I think that's what's so interesting about Ready to Love, because you're dealing with people that have had past relationships. We're not talking about 20 and 21-year-olds who've never really been in love we're talking about people that have a lot of hurt and baggage, which, after a certain point in life, everybody gets there. We've all experienced that. What do you tell people that come to you that are struggling with that? Because no matter what people think, I don't have baggage. Everybody has baggage of some type.
Yep. I tell them, don't let your past ruin your future. Until this person shows you that they can't be trusted, then you have to just have to trust them. Let them give you that reassurance. But if you keep doing it over and over and over again to the point where it becomes redundant and you're constantly making them feel like, because after a while, it makes them feel as if they're a flawed character or if they're like, they have some type of moral dilemma, whether you mean it or not. And you can tell them all you want that it's not about you, it's about me. After a while, they're going to take it personal because they'll start to think like, haven't I done everything to show you? Haven't I been as transparent and as transparent as I can to reassure you that I'm not going to do anything on you? After a while, it just gets old.
Yeah, I think it does. I guess that's why people have to heal as much as you possibly can before going into something, because if you
absolutely
something where you were hurt very badly, it can be difficult to just let that go. And I think that we see that from Alexis. I think we also see that from Kyra, because Kyra is juggling, these two guys back and forth. She's juggling AJ and Jason, and not willing to really, I believe, and the ladies, y'all can let me know. Women, we know our heart is used. Your heart is not torn between more than one person. Men, maybe so. I'm not a man, so I don't know. What I know is a woman.
That's what I tell them. Yeah, because it's so funny that actually not funny. It's just it's interesting. I see this pattern all the time when men come to me and they say, I don't know what happened. Like she's in a relationship with this guy right away. Just last month, we were on a vacation together, and I asked him, when did she stop complaining towards you? When did she stop communicating with you? Because that's the minute that she started to probably think about your replacement. And the fact she can't give her heart to two people, like that, she can't split it. Like the minute that she shut off the factory to you, it's going to be open to somebody else, and vice versa. So it's just how you guys work and how women work in general. Like, you can't be at two places at one time.
I agree. I definitely agree. LL says, so Coach Court, would you have recommended to Alexis that she work on that issue before entering into another relationship? Because it seems like
absolutely,
yeah.
She needs to heal. She needs to heal, because what she's doing is she's taking all this stuff, putting it in a garbage bag, throwing it over her shoulder and saying, here, come help me out with this. And they'll be like,
yeah.
Wow, you need to take care of all that. Go see some therapy. Go get some therapy or some counseling or something first. It's important.
I had someone tell me after going through a really bad divorce that the only thing that really heals a broken heart is really being in love again. Like, you could go to therapy and you can do all the work that you can on yourself, but to really be able to let go and be excited again about love, it's like you have to have that feeling again. What do you think about that?
I say yes and no, because you have to unpack that stuff first.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the next relationship and you unpack it with them, then it's just going to become, you're going to become codependent on them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be like, I was so vulnerable to you, and I was telling you all this, all I've been through. And then they're going to feel obligated to stay with you because you may be playing this victim role because you never unpacked it with, somebody that can help you guide through some of those traumas.
I feel like all the people on here have unpacked baggage. And I think that's what we're going to have a conversation with Tommy next week. And I think that's one of the things that I'm going to ask him about, because even Joelle, we're talking about, people are saying Joelle didn't take accountability, and he didn't. Joelle his wife passed away. So there could be total issues with him where maybe he's because it seemed like he and Vernicia automatically clicked. It seemed like he got scared and started pulling away. I'm saying that's my take on watching him. It could be that he's not ready to have anybody else fill the spot of his wife, that passed away early. Like it's so many different ways that people react. Alexis, is asking a lot of questions. Kyra is standoffish. Everybody's reaction to their hurt is different, but it still equals you're not over your past, Yeah,
and that's something I really teach too. I coach attachment styles, which is how your relationship with your parents and the way that you were raised, it reflects how you attach to people in romantic relationships. And for people who are more love avoidance, they have a hard time attaching to people and being totally vulnerable with them. But for the anxious people, which may be Alexis, they are overly communicative. They need validation, they need reassurance all the time, and it gets really old. And the majority of the relationships are the anxious and the avoidant styles. There's not a whole lot of secure people out there because of our history.
That's so true.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah, so true. What you mentioned about parents, that's a huge thing, how those relationships played out. So, okay, we got to talk about the fact that Ron just sabotaged Amber. Who sabotaged Alexis? Who sabotaged Ron? I mean, KJ, because KJ and Amber had this great connection, and we didn't know on camera that Amber was dating other people. I was totally shocked. KJ obviously was not. And one of the things that we saw him do in the first time, because he was on Ready to Love last season, and he put all his eggs in one basket with one woman, and that woman turned him, acted a fool, and then he got, cut out. Now here he is again, the second time around. He puts all his eggs in one basket, and now she's been dating someone else. So, I mean, you can see his face. He looked completely shocked. And I feel for him. But what do you think? I said last week that Joelle talking about Kyra was proof that women should date more than one man, because when we put all our eggs in one basket before the man has told us that we are that one, you leave yourself to look foolish if, that doesn't happen, and just to get hurt. So it seems like men do the right thing by kind of keeping their options open. And it seems like KJ may have made another mistake this time around, because he didn't keep his options open. And
keep his options open. Absolutely. And that's important. That's important for you to keep your options open. Like you can't give it away to the first contender. You have to be in the abundance mindset and let them duke it out. Like, all right, I don't like this about her. I don't like this about her. She's good here. That's why I tell my people to ask the real questions. What was your parents like? What are their relationships like? Okay, what happened in your last relationship? Did they do everything wrong, or did you show up in a bad, in an unhealthy way? Yeah. So you got to ask them the real meat and potatoes,
Wow.
And you need to keep dating multiple people, because if you put all your eggs in one basket, you just set yourself up for failure. You end up like obsessed with that one person, and you fear them picking somebody else, and you attract what you fear.
You attract
what you think about the most. Yeah, that energy you put out there, like Alexis, she feared him abandoning her and picking somebody else or rejecting her. And what's happened is you're attracting exactly what you fear, because you're going to show up in a way that's going to make that outcome happen.
She did say that. She said, "I'm afraid you'll break my heart." And that's the direction that they're going. So Ray Hamilton says that KG, I'm sorry, I called him KJ. It's KG was dating other people. I don't know where you get your information. He dates other people. We didn't see him dating anyone else. And every time, he's been very clear in all his confessionals about the fact that his focus was Amber. So there is, of course, a lot we don't know, but all we can go on is what the edited version that we get. And his edited version has been consistent that he was there for Amber, while Amber on camera has been consistent about KG being her one and only also. What did you think about just the whole idea of KG telling Amber what happened and her going, you know, her telling Vernicia, and then it comes like everybody's talking so much. I always say men talk even more than women, but the gossip and all that, men do it just as much as women do.
No, I read a study on that. You know, on average, women say 20,000 words a day, and men says 2,000. They say 2,000.
Yikes.
On average. No, this is on your every. You know, this is you talking to your girlfriends, and if you're at work, talking to your coworkers. Men, not so much. But it is a lot of gossiping going on behind closed door, and that chatty behavior. My grandma used to say, "You talking like a little female." Like, well, I'm gonna slow down then, because. And that was what, 20 years ago she said that. So it falls in line with, you know, how, you know, what scientists have said, you know, 20,000 words on average for women.
Wow. Well, all right. So what are your predictions? We saw that, you know, happen. What did you think about Jason and Liz? I think that Jason and Liz, I think that he likes her. I think she's beautiful. I just see them as a real couple. I don't buy that. What do you think about their interaction?
It was Kyra that was in the picture, right? It's kind of like in that whole mix.
I think he really, really, really likes Kyra.
Yeah.
I think Liz is, you know, I think all the men have said about Liz is she's very classy. She's like the type of woman that you would want to have as a wife, but it just doesn't, it feels like, you know, if you watch his dates with Kyra, he really just, he's like infatuated.
It's fun. Yeah, he lets his, like they say, let his hair down. He lets his hair down and just, he's able to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where his, you know, you can't fake attraction. You can't, attraction is the gatekeeper to relationships.
Yeah.
You know, as far as Kyra, I think he's more attracted to her.
I think so.
He probably doesn't want to break Liz's heart, but the attraction he has for her it's so much more energy from what I've seen.
I agree. And then I think that Kyra is more attracted to AJ, but I think that she feels safer with Jason. And I think women do that maybe more than men. A lot of times women will pick the safe choice because, you know, I think, you know, her and AJ have this history, but she acknowledges that they sometimes bump heads. And I think Jason is just like this puppy dog that's just totally into her. And she's like, this is the safe way to go. Sometimes safe is good, but I just think he would rather be with AJ if she had a choice.
Yeah, after a while, you know, that it just, the safe bet was the wrong bet.
Yeah,
because you got to keep that attraction going for a long time. You know, if this is just the beginning, this is just the courtship phase.
Yeah.
What about when you make that selection and you move into the relationship phase?
Yeah.
We don't want you cutting your eye at somebody else that you feel more attracted to, more alpha than the person that you picked.
That can happen. Well, Coach Court, tell us because I love the fact that you said you started this work after it was kind of like your own journey, you know, to learn and to do better. What are some of the biggest, maybe 3 of the biggest lessons that you learned personally from this relationship, you know, helping others deal with their relationship that you can apply to yourself? Because I always wonder, how do relationship experts bring that back to themselves? Like that must mean your relationship has to have very little bumps in the communication.
Yeah, communication is good. One, you know, I realized that if somebody wants to leave your life, if somebody wants to pick up and say, hey, this isn't working out for me, you got to accept it. You got to realize that we're all on borrowed time. You know, we came into this world with no thing and we'll leave with no thing. You know, and that thing could be people.
Yeah.
You know, so what you have to do is just realize that, hey, this was a great experience. Thank you for journeying with me up until this point. I bid you adieu and I wish you the best. That was my first one, which is know that people are going to leave your life, like hands down. If things don't work out, if you guys are growing in a different direction, they're going to leave. Yeah. If you're not doing what you need to do, if you're not being mindful. The second thing I learned, I guess kind of ties into it. You have to keep courting your lady. Because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to come along and do it for you.
Yeah.
Whether it's that work husband or that guy on Facebook that they've had friends for 10 years, they're going to come along and do it for you. Like if you're, because I study John Gottman too. He talks about something called the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And if this happens in a relationship, your relationship's going to end with at least a 97-98% chance of breaking up.
Wow.
which is stonewalling, criticism, contempt, and defensiveness. So if you do those 4 things repeatedly, the relationship will end. So you have to be mindful about that. All right, am I listening to her? Am I making sure that the lines of communication is open and I'm not stonewalling her? Is she able to come to me and talk to me about any and everything and feel safe about it? And the last one, the third one, is realize what makes women feel safe.
That's big.
And I feel there's 4 things. They have to feel safe with you physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Which means if you're somebody that gets all loud, cuts them off, like the first guy, she's not going to feel safe with you physically. Because she's going to be thinking, all right, where is this going to go next? And that's also emotionally. She doesn't feel safe with you in that moment. She doesn't feel safe with you physically or emotionally.
Yeah. Because
she can't express what she has to say, and and you're kind of sticking your chest out a little bit.
Yeah.
And the last one is kind of like the spiritual one. That's kind of like a toss up, but it's just something that I learned personally. If you get into a relationship with somebody and you don't have the same spiritual alignment, like if they don't believe in God, at some point, somebody's either going to become resentful that the other person don't believe, or the other person is going to feel like you think that you're better than them, and that you have a different moral compass than them. So it's important that you have that spiritual part too.
That's interesting you said that, because that's one of the things that a couple of weeks ago we saw Alexis and Ron deal with. Alexis has a very strong spiritual base, and Ron does not believe in God, and said that he is, if something comes up, he's not necessarily going to pray about it. He's going to figure it out himself. And she was like, the first thing I'm going to do is pray. And he was very adamant that was not who he was. And she shed some tears, and she talked to Tommy about it. But we had a conversation about it last week with the other relationship expert, and she was like, that is a huge thing. People don't think it's a big thing initially. When you're talking to people,
Yeah. When you're the oxytocin's being released and you're in love with each other, you don't think about that type of stuff. Like, that's just something that maybe I can love him into being religious. And it doesn't happen. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
Wow. Well, what advice would you give to people? Because like I said, I think a lot of the people that watch the recaps and we talk and we have such good fun talking about this show is because most of us are in this situation or have been in this situation. Anybody that is an adult, and has gone through love and heartbreak before in their life finds himself on that screen in somebody, whether it's, Alexis being like a little bit overwhelming with the questions or Kyra being very laid back, or even Vernicia, who definitely kind of felt like she was blindsided and needed reassurance from the guy that she's put all her eggs in that basket, maybe prematurely. So what advice would you give people that want to find love, want to believe in love, for the second or third time, but are, do have some baggage or do have some hesitation about getting out there again?
I wrote a quote. I think this is probably one of my favorite quotes. Like, you follow me on my Instagram, I got a lot of quotes, but this one is my favorite. In order to find real love, you have to be vulnerable enough to make a fool out of yourself, but wise enough to know when to stop fooling around. So it's all about finding that balance. Find that balance of, and when you're in a relationship, you got to find that balance too. Am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Am I mindful about, her needs and what she needs, her communication needs? And think about the love languages. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. The 5 love languages. Make sure that you understand what fills up her love tank, because often we give the love that we want, but we don't give the love that they need. We're speaking Portuguese when they're speaking Spanish. You know, we got to
Right.
make sure that we're mindful about giving them the type of love that they need.
Absolutely.
So
Well, you
there it
have a
is. Love languages. What's that?
No, go ahead. I was just saying you have a lot of great quotes on your page.
Thanks. So yeah, it's just mindfulness, being able to just keep that balance, make sure that you're constantly taking inventory on where your relationship is at.
All right. Well, tell people how they can, hear more from you, and definitely follow you, because, like I said, you have some great information, some great videos on just real good content with good information on relationships. To me, it's like almost like a common sense perspective. It's not far out. It's just real, good advice. So let people know where they can connect with you.
I try to keep it real simple, just to be mindful. That's my business, Fruitful Seeds. So I got a website, Fruitful Seeds with the Z at the end. And that's just pretty much what I do. I plant little seeds of information and just mindfulness into people's lives, so they realize that, hey, somebody else understands. Like they get it. So I have the website. My YouTube is Coach Court, and my Instagram is I am Coach Court.
Is that Coach Court because you court the ladies? Is that where that Court came from, or is that your actual name?
There's a double meaning there. My name's Courtney, and it's Court for short. Yeah, so court me or lose me.
I'm not mad at that. Well, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Do you have any last minute predictions for what's coming up next week? I cannot wait to see next week's episode with KG confronting Amber. That's going to be interesting, and to be able to see if that relationship can make it through, that conflict, because that's going to be huge. We're at the very end for her to do that. I'm interested to see how he responds, and then will Vernicia and Joelle be able to get through this, and then who is Kyra going to go with? What are your predictions for the rest of the show?
It's so in the air. I think Joel and Vanessa is going to, they're going to work it out. I think they are. Because a lot of times when I see men puff up like that, they know they mess up, and they start to show different behaviors. They may not come out and say it, but they'll become overly compensating, overly nice, in order to prove that, hey, this isn't.
I don't want to lose.
You're gonna stop. Yeah. You're gonna stop acting like that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. It's a mess right now. It ended very messy.
Yeah, it did. People are saying Amber's gonna hurt. Shayla says Amber's gonna hurt Chris. I'm afraid she probably already did. When he heard that.
Amber's the youngest, right?
I don't know. She looks the youngest, but I'm not sure if she's the youngest.
Because I think she's 31.
She's a district attorney, and very no nonsense. And they almost have. Y'all don't act crazy when I say this, but it's almost like she has more like strong energy and he has more soft energy. So I think that's kind of how they connect. But because she seems very like in your face and no nonsense, and he seems very, easygoing, kind of like, he's the
that energy is intimidating for men. For a lot of men, that's intimidating. Yeah,
but he was the only one that wasn't, because a lot of the guys said they were kind of thrown off by her in your face, no, I'm not playing no games personality.
Yeah.
Well,
there it is. Yeah. There's another tip. Learn about masculine and feminine energy.
That's what I wanted to say. I want to say she has masculine energy and he has feminine energy, but I didn't want to say.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing. It's a thing. And we all have both energies inside of us, but which one takes the driver's seat depends on different circumstances in your life. Like, a lot of single moms, they have to be in their masculine energy. They have to do everything. They have to be everything.
Agreed. Well, we'll see. And I think that's one of Alexis' issues. Alexis is a single mom. She has a son that played basketball. I actually played for, Jason. Jason was her son's basketball coach at first. And she was very, very forward, very, very forward. So that did scare off a lot of the guys. So you're right, balancing out that energy. But I think you just, at the end of the day, you have to be yourself, and whoever is for you, will find you. Because, you can't try to be what somebody else says that you should be. You have to be yourself, be the best version, and that's it. But I hope that the couples that are seriously into each other are able to work it out and find, some sense of love. I think the show offers people a chance to see that it can happen. It's just not easy. It's definitely not easy.
No.
Definitely not easy.
Unless you're a relationship coach or you have a coach. I mean, it helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Evens out the playing field.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you guys, please hit up Coach Court on social. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this Friday. I know it's Friday night and most people are out doing other stuff, but some of us like to stay in and watch Ready to Love and then talk about it. So I appreciate you hanging out with us.
And talk about relationships. That's what I do anyway. So
absolutely. Well, we appreciate it, and we will definitely reach out to you again. Thanks.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yep.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. This episode was really good. I really don't know what is going to happen. Like I said, I really hope that Joelle and Vernicia work it out, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I think KG and Amber will be fine because I think he would, be able to forgive her for that. But I just want to see what she's going to say. Like, what the hell? Because she's been so, I don't feel like she's been honest, at least from what we've seen on television. Kyra, I think, is going to choose Jason. I think Jason is the safe bet for her. I think Jason is going to choose Kyra. I think that's who he feels the most comfortable with. He even said that, his friends felt like she was the most comfortable. I think Liz is going to be hurt, but she'll be fine. She's a beautiful woman. She's got a lot going for her, so she'll be fine as well. Alexis, I just don't think that AJ is really into her. I think AJ is actually more into Kyra as well. I think it's a lot of people that are kind of hanging on and trying not to hurt somebody else, but I don't really think that AJ is into Alexis at all. I think that he really was into Kyra, and that was really the only person that he spent any energy, on during the show. So I don't know, guys. Y'all let me know what you think. We'll be right back here. Now, next week, like I said, we're going to have Tommy's going to come in. I'm going to ask him some hard questions and find out what does he think about all this shifting around and couples and 5 to 4 and all this, what's going to happen. But check in with us on Monday for Reality Check right here on Rolling Out at 8 p.m. And then, of course, at the end of the week, we're going to be right back here next Friday. Y'all hang out with me. Ready to Love recap. This has been Christal Jordan. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.